Peace and love, beautiful people, and thank you for tuning in to the Holistic Hot Girl podcast. My name is Kaya Cherry, the Holistic Hot Girl, and I'm here trying to change the world one heart at a time. I need to slow down while I'm talking. I'm extremely nervous. Moment of transparency, this is my first time recording an episode on video, but I'm gonna get through this for y'all, for us, for the unity. But again, I'm really appreciative for anybody who's tuning in. If you know me even a little bit, you know that this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And people have told me that, I give pretty good life advice, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. But today I really want to talk about relationships because that's what we're all talking about. That's what everybody's talking about. And it doesn't matter necessarily what that relationship looks like for you. And honestly, it doesn't always apply to romantic relationships either. It could be family members, it could be friendships, whatever. But for me, this is my personal opinion, just based off of what I've observed. A lot of people are in the relationships for themselves instead of the actual purpose of a relationship, which is essentially to uplift and build. And it doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be anything. I think a lot of problems come in relationships when two people are not checking in with themselves individually and checking in on the relationship. When you're in a relationship, it's really important to know exactly what your expectations are of the relationship. And that might not necessarily pertain specifically to the person. That just might be your standards, and those are absolutely fine to change. That's why I said it's not really an exact science, and that's why I really, really dislike when people ask for relationship advice or take or give, it doesn't matter, take or give relationship advice, because no relationship is the same. And the moment that you have to step outside of the relationship to find counsel in someone else, to communicate any disagreement with someone else, you're adding another person to the relationship. They're going to feel like they're a part of the relationship now because you've opened that door, you've let them in. Which I understand, that's easier said than done, because it's really easy to talk about your relationship with other people. And I don't think it's anything wrong with venting. And I don't think it's anything wrong with just simply, discussing things that are going on. But to actually ask for advice, that's a different thing. If you don't really know what your expectations are of a relationship, then it's always going to fall apart. You're never going to know what's going on because you don't even know what you want. But to go back to what I was talking about earlier with checking in on yourself, a lot of people are not ready for relationships. Mentally, spiritually, even physically, because that is a real thing. You can't go into a relationship with expectations and you plan on meeting none for the other person or for yourself. What are you expecting of yourself in the relationship? What is your goal for the relationship as a whole? When I say people are in relationships for self, they're looking for gratification of feeling like they have this person forever and this person is of service to them, and that is true to an extent. But at some point you have to be willing to love yourself enough to say that this relationship is no longer serving me, or this relationship is no longer serving the other person, and be done. Like, you have to, and I know this sounds harsh, but maybe not be done immediately. I believe in trying. I believe in loving hard. I believe in trying everything, especially if you really want to be with somebody and you know that you love them and you know that you want to be with them. Love fully, love without, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Love without a wall, but there's a word for the word that I'm trying to I'm completely blanked out. Love fully, love with the open heart, and love without having your guard up. I think that's what I was trying to say. Love without having your guard up. Vulnerable. That is the word that I was looking for. Love vulnerably. You are supposed to be able to feel secure in the love of your relationship. But in that same breath, you have to make sure that you're together mentally, you're together spiritually and physically before you even look to add or build, because that is what a relationship should be, adding or building to your life and to the other person's life as well. There are great benefits that come with having a relationship. What is a relationship though? A relationship. There are great benefits that come with having a relationship, whether it's a business relationship, romantic relationship, or even just a friendship. There is strength in numbers. I am so goofy. Like, what is going on? Oh my gosh. I'm gonna post it just like this, and yeah, this is how it's going to be. But there is strength in numbers, and there's strength in having accountability, reliability, security, certainty. Like, those are real things that come in a relationship, and loyalty is definitely a big thing. But is it everything? You have to be willing to, let me rephrase that. Loyalty is everything. Obviously, you want someone to be loyal to you, and you should be being loyal to the other person. That's why I say it's really important to set expectations for yourself going into a relationship, but also setting expectations for the relationship. What do you want out of the relationship? What are you looking to gain? What is it about relationships that you long for? What do you actually want from that person, so that you can make sure that they are meeting your expectations and they're meeting the expectations of the relationship? It's totally fine for relationships to be done. There's nothing wrong with relationships ending. Yes, they hurt and they're not always fun. You have to be able to be healed enough to grieve the relationship. And grieving is a process, and it doesn't look the same for everyone. And that is totally normal, and that is healthy. You're supposed to grieve a relationship because that means you actually put your all into it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm going to go back to the advice thing as well. My philosophy is that if you are in a relationship with someone and the conversation is so difficult to have with them that you have to start having it with other people, and you have really tried your absolute best to communicate with this person, it's probably time for the relationship to end. The only reason I say that is because in order to establish healthy boundaries outside of your expectations, sometimes you just have to cut it loose. You have to cut it loose, and not because you feel any type of way about that person. You don't have to even necessarily feel any type of way about the relationship. But when anyone gets to a point where they no longer want to understand you enough to come to common ground, to have an actual conversation, to actually communicate how they are feeling and try to understand how you are feeling, what is left? What is left of the relationship if not relatability? We need to be able to relate. If we cannot relate, then is it really a relationship? But from the other side of that, like being able to let people go, the people who are being let go of, we have to understand that it's not always personal. It's not. And I know that it's so much easier said than done, because I've, of course, been on both sides of the spectrum. Being the person who is getting broken up with, it can be difficult. It can be difficult. But rejection is God's protection. When someone cuts you loose, when a job cuts you loose, or doesn't give you the promotion, or the guy that you're going after is really not feeling you like that, the girl you're going after is really not feeling you like that, don't press. Don't press. You cannot press over those things, because there is definitely a reason if you believe that. But you also, that's why it's so important to get yourself together before even getting into a relationship as well. Because you need to be able to accept the reality of the relationship no longer serving the person that you're in a relationship, and also not serving you. When you leave a relationship, you want to have something when you leave. You don't want to leave empty. You don't want to leave giving everything to this person. They have to have something for themselves. And you have to have something for yourself, and y'all both bring it to the table and make something beautiful. And sometimes that lasts 3 months, sometimes that lasts 3 years, sometimes it lasts 30 years. That was a 333 for you and me. But relationships do not have to last forever. No matter how much you want them to, it's totally fine to want them to. But if you want a relationship to last forever, and if not forever, a long time, you have to check in on the relationship, and you have to check in on the person that you're in the relationship with. And this sounds repetitive, but I can't stress the importance, because we're not getting it. It's not connecting. You have to be able to, for sake of example, I love a good example. You have to be able to say, is this relationship meeting your expectations? But you have to be with a person who is emotionally sound enough to say, this relationship is not meeting my expectations, and this is why. Not, no, because you don't give me money to go get my nails done. That ain't got nothing to do with the relationship. So superficial. And I have heard of things like that, so I know that it's real. But having real wholesome expectations and having real emotional intelligence to be able to say, there are some things that I dislike about you as a person. Totally normal as well. Totally normal. This relationship is doing me some good. It's teaching me about myself. It's teaching me about you. That's another thing that people need to realize about relationships. The process of healing, the process of getting to know yourself never ends. It does not stop for a relationship. It should not stop for a relationship. The complexity that people need to understand about relationships is that while in the process of getting to know yourself, you are getting to know an entirely different human being as well. You have to give them space. You have to give them grace to grow and heal and get to know themselves just as you are. That's why I think it's really important for people in relationships to take breaks. Or if not, and I know I said I was talking about any relationship, but now I'm talking about romantic relationships. That's what I'm really talking about. You have to allow that person enough space to realize what's going on. if they don't know, then they just don't know. And I think with my last relationship, I think that's where I was really confused at, because I really thought that the other person knew. I assumed that they knew. But even after we had the conversations, after the assumption, we had a clear conversation and it was just not clicking. That's totally fine. Some people are just not there yet, and that is okay. That is okay. We get so caught up in our opinions about the other person that we can't even see what the common goal should have been from the beginning, which is a healthy relationship. That should always be the goal. Number one goal, to have a healthy relationship with strong communication, understanding, compassion, empathy. These are things that are components of emotional intelligence. Having to be able to say, okay, well, this is what's working for you, and it is not working for me, and it will not work for me. And if you're not willing to change that, I accept that. I am fine with that. And I release you in love. And vice versa. You have to be open to someone telling you this is not it. And that can be very hard. That can be very hard. I'm laughing, but not laughing, because I'm saying it. But that is a difficult task. That's a hard task. But it's character development. It really makes you who you are. It makes you who you are for the next relationship. You never even know. It might not even help you in terms of a relationship. It might help you in your career. It might help you with dealing with your family. But you have to, again, be able to run it back. What's going on with me? Why do I exhibit these specific traits that are causing my relationship to be the way that it is? Accountability. We didn't talk about that one. That's important as well. That's equally as important as being emotional. I mean, I don't feel like you can really be, well, who knows? Regardless. Having accountability and really owning up to and accepting the part that you play in a relationship is essential for peace and effective communication. Stepping completely outside of yourself and saying, I could have done better. I could have handled myself better in that situation. I could have worded that better. I could have communicated better to you. Everything does not have to be a blow up. Nothing, to me personally, this is just my opinion. I know everybody is not going to agree with this. I've been called passive aggressive. I don't even know what that means. I don't feel like I resonate with it, because I'm not aggressive at all. Personally, I'm aggressively kind. But I don't feel like anything has to turn into a blowout. It is what it is. We should be able to have a conversation about anything if I've decided to be in a relationship with you. If we can't have a conversation about it, then the relationship is most likely not serving me, because I want to harvest a relationship of peace and love, encouragement, motivation, balance. Like, you're supposed to find all the good things in the relationship. But if you're not, then it might not be a good look. It might not be a good fit. And I think really that's all I have for relationships today. That's all I think that's plenty. Rewind this as many times as you need to. Take notes if it was useful to you. If it was not, I sincerely apologize, and maybe I will be able to help you next time. I want to thank everyone again so much for tuning in to this episode of the Holistic Hot Girls podcast. And keep being a hot girl, okay? Holistically, though. Love you. Bye.